brother, I can say me, Marifin, Papi, like me, I got 2 younger brothers. We're almost like identical. Like we almost do the same thing. Like a lot of time I would do, so for example, so we're so like, especially me and Marifin are more like than I am with Papi. Because it's only like two years.
Have an experience and self-reflect and be like, you know what, I'm gonna do this differently, right? Like, it's the same way they can raise a child and then say, you know what, for the next one, let's kind of do it differently this way.
Yeah.
Intentionally even, you know, and self-reflect and kind of shift around and things like that. Now, that's not
the age gap between me and him. So it's like, he has a temper, I have a temper. He doesn't, I don't smoke, he doesn't smoke. I don't drink, he doesn't drink. Like my morals and my principles and my discipline and his is pretty much identical. We do the same thing. I think the reason why is that because we share the same bed. And I'm not saying this can't happen, right? I'm not saying that, you know, we share the same bed. We went through the same school.
So much evil in this world, I sit back like, why bother? But get a different view every time that I call daughter. It's like Numi got the Uzi, man, she always spitting facts. She be dropping bombs, make all of them double back. And then the crime raises. It's something that ain't never gonna get that. But it's cool, let's sit back and chit chat, unveiled mindset.
You gotta be stoic, you can't be frail. If you get on the track, you can't derail. If you stick around long enough,
you will surely be unveiled.
What's poppin', what's did it? Welcome to another Unveil episode. We about to have another banger, man. You know?
Hey guys.
Welcome.
Welcome
to the Unveil Mind, a new episode, hosted by me, Dr. Khan, and my lovely wife, Numsokaba. I just have to make sure I put that in there.
Yes. Welcome back. If this is your first time checking us out, make sure you guys subscribe down below.
You yelling.
Don't mind him.
Yelling.
But yeah, no, make sure you guys subscribe down below. Make sure you go to all of your favorite podcast audio platforms. If you're on the go and need to close the app for any reason, you could just listen in, tune in, Apple Podcasts or Spotify. But yeah, this is Unveiled Mindset, where we have enlightening and purpose-filled conversations that help nurture growth and unveil the mind.
Yep. And let's get into it, man.
Yep.
So today's topic is kind of familiar. People are familiar with this topic. Okay. So we're going to try to get into it and give our perspective on it and our opinion on it. And then from there, we let the world see it. So today, the topic is going to be, is nature stronger than nurture? Right? So I think first I'm going to give them a quick definition of what nature is and what nurture is, and then we can get into it and you can give me your opinion on it.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, from a scientific perspective, nature referred to the biological / genetic predisposition that impact one's human traits, physical, emotional, and intellectual. Nurture, in contrast, describe the influence of learning and others' environmental factor on these traits. So, now with that definition being out the way, what do you think about nature versus nurture? Do you think nature is stronger than nurture, and why do you think that? And can you give us some example that can kind of like back up your claim? Why is that?
Okay. I think a hybrid of both.
Okay.
I think it's nature and nurture. Honestly, I would even say like more so nurture.
Okay.
So, more so nurture, but nature definitely plays a part, because at the end of the day, we are who we are. We come from what we come from. It's in our blood, it's in our genes, certain behaviors, right? Even when you think about, I think like certain mental health issues, they they say that like, okay, you may have someone in your family, maybe your parents or your grandparents or something that suffered from some sort of like mental disorder or just mental issues, and therefore that can actually like come down, into you may be more prone to those things. The same thing as physical health, right? We see it with like physical health, like if you have a certain type of disease or something like that, or certain health issues, the question may be, hey, my their parents, right, suffered from the same thing. So I think the same way that like physically certain things are passed down, Emotionally, psychologically, I think like in terms of like your behavior and how you react can also be passed down through your genes. And so that's the reason why I would definitely say like nature plays a part into those things. Now, is it a huge part, right? Can it be deterred? I think that things can happen in nature, in, what is it?
Nurture.
While you're being nurtured, things can happen to really kind of geared you towards like a different type of like lifestyle and behavior, or even like trigger certain things or not trigger certain things that may be dormant in you, right? So I think that your environment is very, very important. People tend to be the output of their environment. If they end up, there are always exceptions, right? And even those exceptions, they'll always come out and say like, hey, I grew up in this and this and this environment. I grew up seeing this, seeing this, seeing this. Mm-hmm. I really had to focus to not go down that path. And they end up being the ones that like made it. So that to me makes it very much like evident that like nurture, whether it's your parents, family members that are around you, your neighborhood, especially where you live, I feel like has a huge impact on an adolescent. The schools, right? Your teachers, especially at a very young age. So I think it's mainly nurture, but we can't deny that nature also plays a part, in one's outcome.
So do you believe it's a 50-50 split between the two?
I would say it's more nurture than nature. So maybe 60-40.
Okay.
All
right. So pretty much what even experts have alluded to, that nature versus nurture, like neither one is stronger than the other.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what most experts says, right? I mean, your experience is probably different from, others, whatever the case may be. And to me, I kind of agree with what you're saying, because like nature is like who you are, right? And then nurture is like kind of who you become, right? Yep. So to me, I would say you are who you are, right? But your mind is molded by your environment. So I can be physically, I can look dominant, and based on my environment, I can be weak. Mm-hmm. Right? So like I can look dominant and intimidating, but based on my upbringing, I can be like brought up soft. Mm-hmm. Right? So I think like nature play a big part in that, right? Mm-hmm. Because sometimes people just don't understand why certain people are the way they are. Mm-hmm. And nurture play a part in that, whether somebody's bad, good. I think nature play, I would say like I would lean more to 70-30 nature, because I think your environment play a big part.
Nurture,
yeah.
Okay.
Nurture play a big part into that.
Yeah. So
I kind of lean more to your side.
Yeah. No, I agree on that. And we see it every day. Like we see, people, they may be raised in, actually, they may be raised in, a certain type of like household and stuff like that. Or I don't know, those stories where you see like, oh, they're twins, and then like, one, it was raised by a completely different like family, across the world, and the other was raised by another family, and they had like very different paths. Yeah. And even when you think about what's interesting though is like, in the same family, you can also have like the same parents, the same, whatever, but have kids that are completely different.
Yeah, that's true.
And I feel like in that case, I think it's honestly even a mixture of both playing the part, because their nature, every child they have their own nature, I think. Yeah. So because if we were to raise every single child in one household the same exact way, like I think it's very hard for them to end up doing the same exact thing.
Well, I have a rebuttal to that, right? So me and my brother, I can say me, Marifin, Papi, like me, I got two younger brothers. we're almost like identical. Like we almost do the same thing. Like a lot of time I would do. So for example, so we're so like, especially me and Marifin are more like than I am with Papi, because it's only like 2 years of age gap between me and him. So it's like he has a temper, I have a temper. He doesn't. I don't smoke. He doesn't smoke. I don't drink. He doesn't drink. Like my morals and my principles and my discipline and his is pretty much identical. We do the same thing. I think the reason why is that because we share the same bed. And I'm not saying this can't happen, right? I'm not saying that, we share the same bed. We went through the same school. We skipped school together. We got beat together. Like I peed on the bed, the same bed he laid on. I told you the story how would like
Lord.
I was a lot more clever than him. I would say that when we were younger. I would pee in bed, and I know I'm gonna get in trouble in the morning. So I would get up, change my underwear, and then push him where I peed at, and then he would wake up thinking he peed. So, he wasn't the brightest. But like as an adult, we have a lot of similar traits. It's a lot of things we do that's like very similar, and I think you saw that here at the day before the wedding. You can kind of see that we have the same energy. That's why we kind of clash, right? So, and we do have a discipline to understand where not to clash. But I said that because we were under the same supervision. Like if my mom buy me whatever suit my mom buy me or buy him, she buy me the same exact suit, same color, same style, everything. So pretty much it's like it's the same, right? And I think they would just say back then, they would say, "Oh, I'm a little smarter than him." To me at that time, I was just a little bit mature than him, right? But now that we were growing, you can kind of see his mature level. I probably say he's one of the most mature in the family. So, and then you have my older brother, we're not the same, right? Like we have similarities, but we have a lot of differences also. The reason why I said that you can grow up in the same house, it depends on the supervision, right? Because me and my brother, my older brother, the age gap is like maybe 10 or 12 years or 15 years, I don't know, right? But so at that time, whatever state that my mom and my dad was in at that time, that's where he get his nurture from. For me, whatever state my mom and my dad was in at the time, because they were not going to be in the same state like from like 15 years ago to 15 years now. So that state, 15 years later, that was a state that me and my brother was brought up under. So therefore, you see the difference between me and Marifin and my older brother Frank. And you see a lot of similarities with me and Marifin because it's literally like we're under the same umbrella. So whatever I did or whatever he did, I did. You get what I'm saying? If that kind of clarifies for you a little bit.
I can see that too.
Yeah.
Because even when it comes to nurture, to your point, like whoever, you can be raised by the same parents, but they are different.
Yes.
They are very, very different depending on where they are in life, depending on the experiences that they have. If you're their first child versus, the last child, 10 years later, it's going to be very different. Depending on the environment, depending on the help that they have, depending on success, right? Money, financially, depending on
health,
all of it, everything, technology, right?
That's true too.
Like
that's true.
older siblings, for example, that we have probably went outside and played a lot more, and then like by the time it was like for me, I was watching Nickelodeon and Disney Channel, you know, and so I think also like and I think one thing that we tend to forget is that like our parents are human and are people. And the same way I can have an experience and self-reflect and be like, you know what, I'm going to do this differently, right? Like, is the same way they can raise a child and then say, you know what, for the next one, let's kind of do it differently this way. Intentionally even.
That's true.
And self-reflect and kind of shift around and things like that. Now, that's not to say that a lot do, but...
or at least try to improve, right? Based on, because you're always trying to do better. And to me, like, it's very, because like we always say, people grew up in the same house and end up being completely different. Like, but we have to know why. We have to know what's the reason, right? And it's based on what you're exposed to, right? So and to add on that, I have like another extended question about nature nurture, right?
Yep.
So since we're saying like, well, we know the experts say 50-50, we just give our own opinion on it.
Yeah.
So like I mentioned this to you. I'm like, do you think people are born just like either dumb or intelligent? Like, or is that genetic, or is that like the parents made sure that their child were in how you say it, in rotation, meaning they had a reputation or a system for their child at a young age, all the way up to the point they're at today, where they're doing timetable, they're reading, they're learning, they're always like consistent on, focused in on their child success in terms of like education. So do you think that make one more intelligent, or make you intelligent, or is it just you're born with it? What do you think?
So I think both.
Okay.
Because number one, for sure, I think that like if when you're raising a child and you have them staring at the TV for the first 10 years of their lives, right? You never sit down with them to understand whether or not they understand their homework. You don't care enough to see like whether or not they're doing well in school, right? Or unfortunately, like if you don't have the time to do it, if you don't have the time nor the capacity to do it, right? And versus a child where, their parents, even before they go to school, are reading to them at night. Because think about this, you're a child, right? And you're being read to. As you're being read to, there may be certain words in that book that when it happens, because you're asked, oh, what is that? Yeah. And automatically you're like your vocabulary is being expanded inherently. Like you don't even realize, like it's not even like on purpose, like, oh my goodness, let's expand our vocabulary. Yeah. But just in this particular example, you're being read to, and because of that, your vocabulary is inherently being expanded as a child, right? And you're understanding different things because your parents are reading different things to you. Versus a child of the same age who's not being read to at all. Correct. Right? They are learning conversational words, right? Like, and words that are used in that household, right? But say one household uses a wide variety of vocabulary versus another household pretty standard, just, very limited. So inherently in that example right there, you have two kids, one that is already exposed to certain things, so therefore they're learning it. And then they know what it is. It's becoming part of their habit because of how they're raised. And the other, unfortunately, they're not being introduced to it. You don't know what you don't know. Yeah. And so if now we were to give both of them
one will be
a test.
One will be
one will obviously know. So in that particular example, I definitely think it's but then there, I think the reason I say it's both is because there are people who are born with like mental disorders. Yeah. Right? And so that can't be denied. So it does happen sometimes. Like even in the situation where like they're being read to, there are people who have certain situations, unfortunately, that they have to overcome.
Yeah, so like let's just that is a case, but let's just say let's remove that case, right? Like that's not the issues here. They're both two regular normal kids. And we're just going from that aspect, right? So like here I looked it up from medlineplus.gov, say that like most aspect of human behavior and cognition, intelligence is a complex trait that is influenced by both genetic and environmental factor. Intelligence is a challenging to study, in part because it can be defined and measured in different ways, right? So to me, like I kind of agree with what you said, right? To me, like okay, so okay, like for example, like there's two. So like I would want to say that okay, genetic maybe play a part in this aspect. Think about it, right? So I don't know if this come from like you being taught from a young age all the way to where you are, because we all like come to this earth with a blank mind state. We don't know anything. Everything is like we have to learn everything, right? So my question is, how sometimes like two people can take a test and it only take 30 minutes for one person to be done, and it took the other guy maybe an hour and a half, let's just say. Or that's one way of looking at it. Or I'm trying to explain a math problem to two kids, right? And the other one just seemed to get it a lot faster than the other person, but the other person also get it, right? So do we say that the person that understand it quicker and faster is more intelligent than the person that get it like later? Like if that's not make sense.
The reason, so I wouldn't necessarily say so.
Can I add this onto it?
Yes.
The point I was trying to say, because I kind of left it off. So does that mean the person that get it faster, is it because of genetics, or is that because he just, let's just keep it there. Is it because of genetics? Because everything else is just, you just have to learn. Or is it like a learning behavior that he just study harder and spend more time on working on his critical thinking or whatever the case may be, and his mind just, because if you do it so many times, because repetition is the mother of learning, because the person studies so much and work on it, he gets it faster. But let's just say they both spend the same amount of time and the other person still get it faster. Is that when genetic play a part?
Got it. So in this situation, from inception, they're in a controlled environment, and from inception to date, they have put in the same amount of effort from and methods of learning and stuff. Okay.
And time, yeah.
So in this case, I would say, yeah. In that case, it sounds like it would probably be a nature thing, meaning that like. And not only when I say nature thing, I also don't mean, the person who got it like this is more intelligent than the other person. Because the other person may be, the way that you have been teaching both people may be the best way that the person B learns. But person A is a visual learner. And the way that you've taught so far has not been in the way that caters to how person A takes in information. And so because of that, you're like, it's almost like that, it's that saying of, if you teach, or if you try to fail at something along the, don't quote me exactly, but I'm going to describe what it is. It's like, if you try to teach a monkey how to swim or a fish how to climb a tree and they don't pass, like, you're going to always call them failures, right?
Okay.
However, if you put them in the environment in which they thrive, which you would put the fish in the water, the monkeys in the tree, and whatever else. And in this particular example, if someone's more of a visual learner, or they need practice problems that shows them like examples so they can actually do it, or they need to hear, right there, it's more audible. And so if you put someone in like a particular, all right, so we gotta but yeah, and if you're essentially with that example of like the fish and the monkey, if you're testing someone based on something that may not necessarily be their strong suit in a different way, right, then that they intake information, it may come off as in this person is not as intelligent as the other person,
I agree. But
it could just mean that people have their strong suits, and then also on top of that, people just take information in differently. And I think honestly, I think it wasn't until recently that like teachers and schools really try to cater towards like, how does everyone learn?
I agree. So okay, to that, right? So if one is a visual learner and the other one learn from hearing, he learns better from hearing or whatever, audible, right?
Or reading,
right? So some people are more practical, right? They gotta be hands-on.
Have to do it. Yeah.
Right. So okay, let's just say those three aspects. We have audible, visual, hands-on, right?
Oh yeah. What are the different ways? I think
of learning. I think
those are the three. I feel like we're missing.
I think it's more than
Yeah, I think we're missing.
It's a couple ways that people learn. What are the ways?
Learning styles. So there's auditory.
Okay, that's like
Learners tend to learn best when the subject matter is reinforced by sound.
okay.
So they prefer to listening to lectures over reading notes.
Okay. And then we have
Visual learners
Okay.
absorb information best when they can visualize relationships and ideas. Maps, charts, diagrams, and even essays work well with visual learners.
and what's the other one?
Reading and writing learners. Reading and writing learners are extremely comfortable with the written word. They prefer to consume information by reading text that can, and then they can further absorb. And then there's kinesthetic, the ability to know where the parts of your. Oh, okay. So the learning styles, though, individuals who prefer to learn by doing, so
Okay,
they enjoy
that's funny.
hands-on experience.
Because
and
these are
things like that.
calisthenics. That's like a workout, like, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, I get what you said. Okay. So okay.
Actually, there are a couple other ones. What is this? Actually, no, this is the same. Logical learners tend to learn best by using strategies and their scientific way of thinking.
Okay. So,
So-
there's different ways. I think the main
But I think those are the main
main four
ones.
is what we just named.
Yeah.
So okay, let's just say again, right? Just to kind of like poke holes of what you just said, right? Two kids,
Mm-hmm.
they go through these four attributes of learning, and one guy is always better than the other in all four
Oh.
categories, right? He always visual learning. Let's just say the other guy's strong suit is visual, right? And his strong suit is what's the other one? Audio, right?
Auditory, or
Auditory,
something
right?
like that.
And then let's just say when they go on each other side,
Mm-hmm.
right, where they strong, where they strong at, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's just say one always still outperform the other person, whether it's visual or audio, right? Then what do you say then? Is that still nurture, or that just simply nature? My genetic is just better than yours.
Yeah, in that case, I would say if if there's still one person
'Cause
in
that
the
happens.
same exact thing, and yes, person B learns better by doing this, but person A just
Better
even in
everything.
that way is always just coming and testing better than person B.
Yeah.
Yeah, then I think in that case, then like it may be genetics, it may
That's just
be
gifts.
understanding. There's some people that just don't understand certain things, even though I think a lot of things can be taught and can be practiced. But I do agree, like there are a ton of people that are like that.
Yeah.
And in that case, like it's important to know yourself, and it's important to know, like, okay, I'm the type of person where I need to sit and reread this homework, redo the exams, re-listen to the lectures 5 times.
Yeah.
And I know that's when work ethic comes in. Because even in even athletes, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes athletes, a lot of times they're gifted, but sometimes
Hard work always
it's
beat
even
talent.
the harder worker that actually ends up beating the talent, because you know where your weak point is. And
Yeah.
because you know where your weak point is, you're like, I need to sit here and
You work at it.
And in all 4 method of these learning methods,
Yeah.
I need to sit here for this exam and sit here and do it 10 times.
Yeah.
And when I do it 10 times, that's how I'm gonna reach to person A's testing level.
Yeah. Correct.
And you have to. And then I think even in doing that, they start it starts becoming their methodology with
Yeah.
everything. And then they actually, like, even places where a person, like, the main person who's really naturally good at things, even in areas where, like, they don't know or they're not sure, etc., person A starts to use that strategy for everything and can
that's
easily
true.
excel. So don't allow yourself to be,
So in conclusion here,
yeah.
so nature versus nurture, or is it nature stronger than nurture? So we concluded that it all depends on the person. Like we said, the experts say it can go both ways. They both are a key factor, which I agree. Based on my experience and my knowledge, I would say that nurturing is a little bit stronger than nature, right? And I will agree with that part. I would say nature is stronger than nurture. I agree on that part. So, and we gave some examples. Some of the examples were extreme. Obviously, this is like the 1%. That one guy that just like genetically gifted. He's just smart.
Yeah.
But on average, we believe that a person that put in the time, that work harder, that spend more time on the what is it called, whatever it is at task.
Yep.
Right. They're gonna be more likely, more have an advantage and intellectually more inclined than the next person that don't put as much work
effort and time.
Yeah, even if you have talent, the hard work always gonna beat that person. So in conclusion, we have nature is not stronger than nurture. Nurture is a little stronger than nature.
Yeah. Yep. That's our thoughts. Let us know what you think down below in the comment box, and we'd love to hear your thoughts.
Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Unveiled Mindset. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on our YouTube page and TikTok, and just keep following us. We have more content, more great content coming on. We out.
It's like Numi got the Uzi, man. She always spitting facts. She be dropping bombs, make all of them double back. And then the crime raises. It's something they never gonna get that, but it's cool. Let's sit back and chit chat. Unveiled mindset.